3 years ago, a guy rolled a 2006 Lexus IS250 into my shop on a flatbed. Beautiful car, immaculate interior, full service history from the dealership, and an engine block cracked straight down the middle, like someone had taken a chisel to it. The repair estimate was $6,000. The coolant in the overflow tank looked perfectly fine. Pink, clean, almost new. That coolant had just quietly turned acidic 14 months earlier, and nobody caught it. That car did not have to die. Hi, my name is Alex, and this is Japanese Car Garage. Why cooling systems kill engines. Let me give you a number that stopped me cold when I first heard it from a retired Honda engineer at a trade event in 2017. 90%. That's the percentage of catastrophic engine failures he attributed, directly or indirectly, to cooling system neglect or error. Not oil, not timing chains, not bad fuel. The cooling system. Now, I'll be honest, when he said that, I almost laughed. 90% sounded like a number someone throws out to make a point. So I went back through my own records. 15 years of repair invoices, customer notes, engine teardowns, and you know what I found? He was not far off, not even a little. Warped cylinder heads, cracked engine blocks, blown head gaskets, destroyed water pumps, failed thermostats that cooked entire engines on a Tuesday afternoon commute. The overwhelming majority of them traced back to one thing: a cooling system that someone had either ignored, serviced incorrectly, or trusted blindly because the fluid in the overflow tank still looked pretty. Here's the problem with how Americans think about coolant. We treat it like windshield washer fluid. You check it when you remember, top it off when it's low, and forget about it until something goes wrong. If it has color, it is fine, right? Wrong. Completely wrong. And that mindset is destroying engines every single day. Japanese mechanics think about coolant the way a doctor thinks about blood. It is not just a liquid in a system. It is an active protective medium that degrades over time, changes chemically, and when it stops doing its job correctly, everything downstream suffers. The whole philosophy is different. And once you understand it, you will never look at your overflow tank the same way again. This is not about topping off your coolant. This is not about adding a bottle of stop leak and hoping for the best. This is about understanding the one protocol that Japanese mechanics have quietly followed for decades, that keeps engines alive well past 300,000, 400,000, even 500,000 miles. In 2019, I spent 2 weeks visiting shops and suppliers in the Aichi Prefecture region of Japan, Toyota country. The air practically smells like motor oil and precision engineering. Yes, I know that makes me sound like a complete car nerd, and I'm fine with it. On my third day, I visited a small independent shop outside Nagoya run by a mechanic named Hiroshi. He had been working on Toyotas since 1980, 40 years. His shop was spotless in a way that only makes sense if you understand that cleanliness is a professional philosophy, not just a habit. In his bay sat a 2001 Toyota Camry with 260,000 miles on it. I asked about the car. He shrugged, as if it were nothing special. "Regular customer," he said. "Drives it every day. No major repairs. Ever." I pulled the radiator cap. The coolant inside was clean. Not just acceptable. Clean. Bright, clear pink, with no discoloration, no oil sheen on the surface, no smell, on a 22-year-old car with 260,000 miles. I asked Hiroshi what the owner did differently. He looked at me like I had asked him why water is wet. "He tests the pH," Hiroshi said. "He changes the coolant when it needs changing. Not when the calendar says, when the chemistry says." That sentence rearranged something in my brain. I spent the rest of my time in Japan asking every mechanic I could find about cooling system maintenance. Same answer every single time. Test the pH, trust the chemistry, do not trust the color. I came home and started implementing what I learned. The results were immediate and undeniable. What your coolant is actually doing and when it stops. Before I give you the full protocol, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your cooling system. Because once you understand this, the protocol makes complete sense. Your coolant does 4 things. It transfers heat away from the engine. It prevents freezing in cold temperatures. It prevents boiling at high temperatures. And critically, it protects the metal and rubber components inside the system from corrosion and cavitation. That 4th job is the one nobody talks about. And it's the one that matters the most for engine longevity. Fresh coolant, whether it's Toyota's pink super long life formula, Honda's blue Type 2, or Subaru's green, contains a package of chemical additives called inhibitors. These inhibitors form a microscopic protective layer on every metal surface inside your cooling system. Aluminum engine blocks, cast iron components, copper radiator tubes, steel water pump housings. The inhibitors coat everything and prevent electrochemical corrosion. Here's where it gets interesting. And by interesting, I mean quietly terrifying. Those inhibitors deplete. Every time your engine heats up and cools down, those additives get consumed doing their job. And as they deplete, the coolant's pH drops. Fresh coolant sits at a pH between 8 and 10, which is mildly alkaline. Healthy, protective. Once the inhibitors are exhausted, the pH drops toward neutral and then toward acidic. An acidic coolant doesn't just stop protecting. It starts attacking. Aluminum surfaces pit and corrode. Rubber hoses and seals swell and crack from the inside. Solder joints in older radiators dissolve. Water pump seals fail silently until one day your temperature gauge climbs and doesn't come back down. Here's the part that keeps me up at night. This process is completely invisible to the naked eye. The coolant can still look pink, still look clean, still look full, while its pH has dropped to 6.5, and it's been quietly eating your water pump housing for 8 months. Your overflow tank is lying to you. It shows you color. It doesn't show you chemistry. The only way to know if your coolant is still doing its job is to test it. And almost no American driver ever does this. Japanese mechanics test coolant pH like it's routine, because it is. The one trick. The Japanese coolant maintenance protocol. All right, here it is. The full protocol, step by step, exactly how Japanese mechanics approach cooling system maintenance. This is not complicated. It does not require expensive equipment. And once you do it the first time, it takes less than an hour. Step 1. Get a pH test strip designed for coolant. These are not the pH strips from your high school chemistry class. You need coolant-specific test strips that measure the full range relevant to your system, typically pH 5 through 11. They cost about $8 to $12 for a pack of 100. Search for coolant test strips or antifreeze test strips. They are available everywhere. You will use these strips to test your coolant every 6 months, not once. Every 6 months. Mark it on your calendar, put a reminder in your phone, write it on your hand, whatever works for you. Step 2. Test your coolant properly. Never open the radiator cap on a hot engine. Let the engine cool completely before doing anything. I know you've heard this before. I'm saying it again because I have seen what happens when people ignore it, and it is not pretty. Once the engine is cold, remove the radiator cap slowly. Dip a test strip into the coolant in the radiator itself, not the overflow tank. The overflow tank can give you a false reading. Test from the source. Hold the strip in the coolant for about 3 seconds. Pull it out. Compare it to the color chart on the package. You're looking for a pH between 8 and 10. That's your healthy zone. If your pH reads between 7 and 8, your inhibitors are depleted. You have maybe 3 to 6 months before the coolant turns corrosive. Schedule a flush immediately. If your pH reads below 7, The coolant is already acidic. Do not wait. Flush the system this week and inspect your hoses, your water pump, and your thermostat housing for early corrosion damage. Step 3. The flush sequence. This is where the Japanese method differs from what most American shops do. Most shops do a quick drain and refill, in and out in 20 minutes. That leaves roughly 30 to 40% of the old degraded fluid in the system, trapped in passages, the heater core, the engine blocks, internal galleries. You are mixing fresh coolant with acidic leftovers. Japanese mechanics perform a two-stage flush. First stage, drain the radiator completely by removing the drain plug or the lower radiator hose. Catch the fluid in a drain pan. Dispose of it properly. Coolant is toxic to animals, and it smells sweet, which makes it dangerous. Once the radiator is empty, refill with distilled water only, not tap water. Never tap water. Tap water contains minerals that deposit on internal surfaces and accelerate corrosion. Distilled water only. Start the engine with the heat set to maximum. Run it for 10 minutes until the thermostat opens and the distilled water circulates through the entire system, including the heater core. This is important. If you do not get the thermostat open, you are not flushing the engine block. You are just flushing the radiator. Turn off the engine. Let it cool completely. Drain the distilled water. Second stage. Repeat the process one more time with fresh distilled water. Use the same procedure. 10 minutes at full operating temperature, full heat on. Then drain completely. By the time you have done 2 distilled water rinses, you have removed roughly 95% of the old coolant from the entire system. Now you are ready for fresh fluid. Step 4. The refill procedure and the bleed. Mix your fresh coolant and distilled water. 50% coolant and 50% water. Always distilled. Pre-mix it in a clean container before pouring it in. This ensures an even mixture throughout the system. Pour slowly. Fill the radiator completely. Then fill the overflow tank to the maximum line. Now here is the step that almost every do-it-yourself coolant change skips, and it causes overheating within weeks. You have to bleed the air out of the system. Air pockets in a cooling system are dangerous. They create hotspots where coolant is not circulating, which leads to localized overheating and head gasket damage. Many Toyota and Lexus models have a bleeder valve near the thermostat housing. Open it while filling to let trapped air escape. On Honda and Subaru models, there is often a specific bleed procedure in the service manual that involves running the engine with the heater on maximum and the cap off while watching for bubbles. Run the engine until fully warm. Check the coolant level as it heats up. You will likely need to top off as air escapes and coolant expands into the system. Keep adding distilled water and coolant mixture in small amounts until the level stabilizes and no more bubbles appear. Replace the radiator cap. Check the overflow tank level 1. Final time. Step 5. The interval secret. Here is what Japanese mechanics actually follow for coolant change intervals. This is completely different from what your owner's manual recommends. The first coolant change should be at 30,000 miles, no exceptions. Even the best factory-fill coolant contains break-in contaminants and early inhibitor depletion from those first hot and cold cycles. After that, change coolant every 45,000 to 50,000 miles, or every 3 years, whichever comes first. But more importantly, test the pH every 6 months, regardless of mileage. If the pH drops below 8 before you hit your mileage interval, change it early. Trust the chemistry, not the calendar. Why your dealership will never tell you this. I want to be straightforward with you about something because I think you deserve honesty. Dealerships are businesses. They exist to make money. The way they make money on the service side is through large repairs, not small preventive maintenance. A cooling system flush done properly, the way I just described, costs about $60 to $90 in materials if you do it yourself. Paid at a shop, maybe $150. That is a small ticket service item. A cracked engine block is $6,000. A warped cylinder head is $2,500 to $4,000. A destroyed water pump that took out a timing belt on the way down on a Subaru EJ engine is a story that ends with tears and a large credit card bill. Guess which scenario generates more service department revenue? I am not saying every service advisor is sitting in a back room, rubbing their hands together, hoping your cooling system fails. Most of them are just following the manufacturer's American market recommendations, which are calibrated for the average driver who keeps a car for 7 years and then trades it in. Those recommendations are not designed for the person who wants to drive 400,000 miles on a single engine. The Japanese market recommendations are different because Japanese car culture is different. Cars stay in families for decades. Mechanics build long relationships with the same vehicles. The goal is preservation, not just getting past the warranty. Follow the Japanese protocol. Do it yourself. Your engine will outlast your expectations. Brand-specific application for Toyota, Honda, Subaru, and Mazda. The core protocol is the same across all brands, but each one has specific details you need to know. Toyota and Lexus. Use Toyota Super Long Life Coolant. It is pink. Do not substitute a generic pink coolant and assume it is the same formula. The specific inhibitor package Toyota uses is designed for their aluminum engine blocks. Mix 50% coolant and 50% distilled water. The biggest mistake Toyota owners make is ignoring the bleed procedure. Many 4-cylinder Camry and Corolla engines trap air near the thermostat housing. If you do not bleed properly after a coolant change, you will have a mysterious overheating problem within the first 2 weeks and spend 3 hours trying to figure out what went wrong. Do not skip the bleed. For Lexus hybrid models such as LS600H, RX450H, S300H, and similar vehicles, there is a secondary inverter cooling circuit that uses a separate reservoir and pump. This system also needs the same pH testing and flush protocol. It is often completely ignored because it is not the main coolant system. Do not ignore it. Hybrid inverter failures are expensive in ways that will make you question your life choices. Honda and Acura. Honda uses a blue coolant, Type 2 for most models. Again, do not substitute. Honda CVT systems and engine metallurgy are calibrated for their specific inhibitor chemistry. The biggest mistake Honda owners make is the heater core. Honda heater cores run hot and trap old coolant like a sponge. If you do a single drain and refill without running the heater at full blast during your distilled water flush, you are leaving degraded coolant sitting in the heater core and circulating it right back through your fresh fill. Run the heat, full blast, every single time. For turbocharged Honda models, the 1.5-liter and 2.0-liter turbo engines, the turbo has its own coolant feed that takes longer to flush. Run your distilled water flush for 15 minutes instead of 10. The turbo passages are narrow and slow to clear. Subaru. This is the brand where this protocol matters most. The EJ series Boxer engines, which powered most Subarus built before 2012, are famously sensitive to cooling system chemistry. The head gasket issues that plague these engines are not fundamentally a design flaw, they are a chemistry flaw. Acidic coolant attacks the head gasket sealing surfaces from the inside, year after year, until they fail. Subaru uses a blue-green coolant. Use the genuine Subaru coolant or a compatible equivalent, like Idemitsu Coolant Type 2. Test the pH religiously on these engines, every 6 months without exception. And do your first flush at 25,000 miles, not 30,000. EJ engines earn an early service. For the FA and FB series Boxer engines in newer Subarus, the situation is better, but the principle is identical. Do not trust the color. Test the pH. Mazda. Mazda uses a green coolant on most models. Skyactiv engines are aluminum intensive and share the same vulnerability to acidic coolant as Toyota blocks. Follow the same protocol, same intervals, same pH testing schedule. One Mazda-specific note. The Skyactiv X engine which Mazda introduced around 2019, runs at unusually high compression and generates significant heat. If you drive a Skyactiv X model, drop your coolant change interval to 40,000 miles instead of 50,000 miles. These engines run hard, and the coolant works harder. The results you can expect. Over the past 3 years, I have had more than 60 customers implement this Japanese coolant protocol on their vehicles. Here is what I have consistently seen. Engine temperatures stabilize. Several customers who had noticed their temperature gauge running slightly high, not in the red, just a little warmer than before, saw it return to dead center, normal within 1 week of a proper flush and a fresh coolant fill. The old acidic coolant had been reducing heat transfer efficiency. Fresh coolant with a full inhibitor package restored it. Water pump life extends dramatically. I used to see water pump failures on high-mileage Toyotas and Hondas. We're on the 150,000-mile mark fairly regularly. Among customers following this protocol, I have not seen a single water pump failure below 200,000 miles in 3 years. Not one. Head gasket integrity holds. This is the big one on Subarus and older Hondas. Customers who tested acidic coolant early and flushed it before pH dropped below 7 have shown zero head gasket seepage at 150,000-mile inspections. The ones who waited until something went wrong, that was a different story entirely. Coolant stays cleaner longer. After 2 consecutive proper flushes, customers report that their coolant still tests at P 8.5 or higher at the 6-month check. The system is clean. The inhibitors are lasting longer because they are not fighting contamination from old residual fluid. The cost breakdown. Let me do the math because I know this is what some of you are thinking about. A proper DIY coolant flush following this protocol costs approximately $60 to $80. That includes the correct OEM coolant, distilled water, a pH test strip pack, and a new drain plug gasket if yours is worn. The pH strip pack alone will last you 5 years of 6-month testing. At a shop, budget $150 to $200 for a properly done cooling system service. At a 45,000-mile interval, you will perform roughly 1 flush every 3 to 4 years depending on how much you drive. Over 200,000 miles, that is approximately 4 services. Total investment, $240 to $320 doing it yourself. Now compare that to a cracked engine block at $6,000, a warped cylinder head on a Honda at $3,000, a blown head gasket on a Subaru EJ engine at $2,200 to $2,800. And that is if you catch it before it warps the head. $60 versus $6,000. That is not a difficult decision. The pH test strips alone are the best $8 you will ever spend on your car. Buy them today. Test your coolant this weekend. Know what you are actually dealing with. Here's what the Lexus IS250 with the cracked engine block taught me, and what Hiroshi's 260,000-mile Camry confirmed. Your cooling system is not a background system you check once a year and forget. It is actively working every single time you drive. It is protecting aluminum surfaces, sealing interfaces, rubber components, and metal passages from the chemistry of combustion and heat. And when it stops doing that job because nobody tested it and nobody caught the pH drop, the damage does not announce itself. It accumulates silently until one day a flatbed shows up at your driveway. The Japanese approach to cooling system maintenance is not complicated. It is not expensive. It requires a pH test strip, distilled water, the correct OEM coolant, and the discipline to follow a schedule. That is it. No special tools. No dealer visits. No $1,000 services. What it does require is the mindset shift. Stop treating your cooling system like a set-it-and-forget-it component. Start treating it the way Hiroshi treats it, the way every long-mileage Japanese car owner treats it, as something worth paying attention to before it fails, not after. Test the pH, trust the chemistry, Change the coolant when it needs changing. Your engine will tell you thank you in the only language engines speak. Quiet, smooth, trouble-free miles for a very, very long time. If you found this helpful, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Japanese Car Garage. I am putting out new videos every week on exactly this kind of content. Real maintenance knowledge that dealerships will not share and that owner's manuals will not explain. If you want to see more, watch this next video where I am breaking down the transmission fluid secrets that are adding 100,000 miles to Japanese gearboxes that should have died years ago. I will see you there.